the show. Now, Nigeria's digital economy is expanding rapidly, with innovation hubs playing an increasingly important role in nurturing startups, building digital talents, and attracting investment. As the country seeks to diversify its economy through technology and innovation, the question remains whether these hubs can truly drive sustainable digital transformation and position Nigeria as Africa's innovation powerhouse. Joining us to discuss and answer this question is Uche Aniche. He's the convener of Startup South here in Port Harcourt. Uche, thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you very much, Paul. Confirm that you can hear me.
Yeah. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Okay. Now, as the convener of Startup South, how would you assess the current state of Nigeria's innovation ecosystem?
So I think that the innovation ecosystem is expanding. I think is broadening and is deepening at the same time. If you've been around, a few years back, almost everything that happened in the ecosystem happened in Lagos, right? In Abuja. But today you can see that um, you can have cities in Port Harcourt, Enugu, holding and pulling their weight back to back. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot of interest even from the government. So people are beginning to pay attention to the potential and opportunity in the ecosystem. So I think that the ecosystem is evolving, but from on a number of indices, we're not where we need to be. However, we're not where we used to be.
Mm. Oh, interesting, Uche. Now, Startup South has brought together thousands of founders and ecosystem players over the years. So, what major changes have you observed in Nigeria's startup landscape?
So first off, I think from a there are a couple of lenses to view the changes from, right? The very
Mm.
first, the one of it would be, um, talent movement, right? So the first, whereas in the 2015, 2016, 2017, and up to 2020, 2019, 2020, up to 2019, the
Mm.
trend was for people to migrate from here to Lagos and from there outside of the country. But today, um, the trend is people want to migrate from Lagos to cities like Port Harcourt and to Enugu, especially talents, right? So then give excuses of um, frustration and infrastructure. But I think that the major reason is because infrastructure down here is becoming a lot more stable. And again, internet is becoming stronger, especially leveraging services like Starlink. So and also the remote work culture
Mm.
is becoming very, very entrenched. So a lot of people, especially people who work remotely, because a lot of businesses are now asking their staff members to work remotely. And so if I have to work remotely and I have to live in Lagos to work remotely, I can as well move to Port Harcourt and work remotely, or move to Enugu and work remotely, or move to Rio and work remotely. So I see those changes are beginning to happen. Then the next change that
Mm.
I've seen investors are becoming interested in founders, outside of Lagos. People are beginning to realize that it is possible to build, it is possible to build big businesses out of what you would consider the twin cities previously. And so a lot more investors are now becoming to ask questions. But I've also seen a lot more government interest, right? Whether at the federal level, whether at the national level. So I've also seen a lot more government interest. Maybe one of it would be, you know, maybe because the person who is currently running the ministry that's directly supervising the ecosystem happens to be
mm,
someone who was in the ecosystem. So maybe that's part of why you see a number of interest from the federal level through some initiatives, right? But at the state level, you see things like Imo, you see things like Abia, and to a large extent, you also see River State also doing um, a number of things to make the ecosystem a lot more conducive, right? So
mm.
I think that, and of course, there's also a lot of increase in knowledge. Um, People are beginning to realize
Uh, I don't know. I think we have lost Uche there, but
Uche
he'll be
Aniche,
joining
right?
us. Okay, he's back. Yeah, he's back. Go ahead.
Are beginning to realize,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
yes, people are beginning to realize and understand what it takes to build a startup.
Mm.
Oh, you can't hear me.
I can hear you
Can you hear
clearly
me?
now. I can hear you clearly. Yes, yes, I can.
Okay. Okay, great. So I was just saying that people are beginning to realize and learn what it takes to build a startup. And so that's some of the changes that I've seen.
Mm. Interesting. Now, let me ask you this question: do you think innovation hubs can become the primary engine for Nigeria's digital economy?
Um, Becoming primary engine is a big question.
Mm.
The key question should be, should they become, should they become, you know, innovation hubs has their place, they have their role, okay? Um, there is in the concept of triple helix, right?
Mm.
The innovation hub has their role, okay? You have the triple helix is a concept that talks about the town, the public, the private, and the academia, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then it's an evolution of a concept that is called the town and gown, right? Which is,
Mm.
mixing the town that comprises the public and the private with the academia. So, innovation hub happens to fall under the private, this private innovation hubs, innovation entity. Typically, innovative researches is supposed to emanate from the universities, right?
Mm.
Um, companies are supposed to um, companies are supposed to, go to schools. Uh, yeah, just let me know if you can hear me.
I can hear you. I can
Okay,
hear you.
good, good. So some companies are supposed to go to schools, discuss their challenges, and get researchers to actually research and fund the research, right? On the other hand, researchers on their own can research and come up with innovation, and then this innovation is then sold or they partner with companies to commercialize this innovation, right?
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
Now, innovation hub sits somewhere in between these two groups, right?
Mm. Yes.
It's a system that attracts people who have left school but still want to be able to find ways to a conducive environment to innovate. And then they
Mm.
evolved into becoming primary incubation spaces, right? So
Yeah.
whether innovation hub can be the primary engine for Nigerians, innovation evolution is a conversation that I don't think it shouldn't be the primary engine. It should play its role. It has a role to play, and it should play its role, right? As a if universities are the nursery beds, okay, then innovation hubs should become the tertiary beds, or for the um, technologies that emanate out of the universities from a point of view of commercialization, right? So innovation hub has a huge role to play, but I do not think that they should be the primary engine. I think that innovation hubs should work hand in hand with the universities, government. There's a role for everybody to play.
Interesting. Now, let me ask you, what distinguishes a successful innovation hub from one that struggles to create a lasting impact?
So a success, I think, is important. I think it's important to know. I mean, success is a factor of what you set out to do, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Success, I cannot define success for you, because I will be defining success from my lens and from the standards and metrics that I set. But success is a factor of what you as a as a founder of innovation hub set out to do. So if you set up your innovation hub to be a if you set up an innovation hub to become a talent development platform, if if I start judging you by the number of startups you have produced, then I'm not being fair to you, right? But if you set up an innovation hub to become
Yeah.
a an incubation and the birthplace of startups, then I will have to judge you by the number of startups that you produce. All right. So I will have to judge you by the number of startups that you have produced. So that's it. I think that what defines a successful innovation hub is an innovation hub that is living out the mandates or the objectives that they set out to achieve. So whether it is, you know, incubating startups, or it is training talents, or it is, bridging the gap between talent, startups, and capital. So that becomes what defines successful. So on the other hand, I would say that a non-successful innovation hub would be, an innovation hub that has not been able to achieve their goals or their targets, for the reason that they were set up.
Interesting. But despite Nigeria's abundance of talents, there are still some
Mhm.
startups that fail within a few years. What do you think are the key factors responsible for this?
So there are a few factors, and one of the big ones you should know, is that failing is normal in the startup
Mm,
world. First and foremost, people should understand what a startup is. Once you append the name startup, a startup is not a regular business. It's not a regular
mm,
business that you just register with CAC, set up a shop, and you start. It's not. A startup is a
mm.
different beast. Okay. Um,
Yeah.
the concept of a startup is that you're looking for that venture that can possibly become a unicorn. To become a
Yeah.
unicorn means that you're able to get to a revenue run rate of $100 million per annum, at least. That's what it takes to be in the unicorn territory, right?
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
so so once you say you're a startup, um, you're essentially saying, I've identified an opportunity that has a potential to get to this stage that I've just described. right? Now,
mm,
if along the line, if along the line, whether you've raised money or not, you discover that you no longer can get to that stage, okay? There are two things you can do. Is either to pivot and begin to find something else that can take you to that destination, or you shut it down. Right? So it's one of the reasons why people say that startups are experimental. They're experimental
mm,
because they're looking to leverage innovation to build something that can scale really big and achieve, outlandish results. Okay,
mm,
startups don't grow linear, they grow exponentially. Okay, so if you are not able to find that path, the
mm,
likely thing to do is to shut down or pivot to continue to find that path. Why do you have to
mm,
shut down? You have to shut down because of the nature of startups, it requires funding to continue to grow, right? It
mm.
requires
Yeah.
it requires additional constant injection of funding to continue to grow
Mm,
to achieve that goal. However, if you get to a point where it is now clear to both you and investors that you cannot get to that goal, additional funding becomes a waste of everybody's time, right? So nobody's
mm,
going to give you more funding, and because nobody's going to give you more funding, your valuation cannot continue to increase, and so the investors who originally invested in you um, will begin to count their losses. All right,
mm.
they begin to
Yeah.
count their losses because they will no longer be able to realize the value. All right, that and so that's one of the reasons why people say a lot of startups fail. Yes, are supposed to actually fail when they cannot achieve their goals. It's also one of the reasons why what you have today in terms of funding now
Mm,
requires people to show proof and traction. All right, they need to show proof and traction that before they invest in you, right? Because they want you to validate
mm. Yeah.
that there are actually people who need this service and that the market is big enough and that there's a pathway
Mm,
to achieving that $1 million revenue. All right. That
mm.
is
Yeah.
why it is becoming difficult to raise money today. All right. So
Mm,
the key thing is a lot of founders started out, without finding that path to $100 million revenue, right?
mm.
It doesn't
I hope
happen.
network.
It doesn't
Okay.
happen on the one. It doesn't happen on the one. It doesn't happen on the. It, it, it doesn't happen on year one. It doesn't happen on year two.
Yeah.
It may not even happen on year three or year four. However,
Mm,
it's important for us to know that the path to that place exists, and that's what investors back. And so,
mm,
startups would, in quote, fail. They don't necessarily fail. They learned, right? They learned, and a lot of them actually come back better. They do better things. All right. So they
mm.
don't necessarily fail. But for some of us, for some people looking from outside, it's failure. And so that's why it looks like a lot of startups fail.
Interesting. What you have said so far, Uche, it's been exciting for me because I've learned a lot from what you've said so far, and I hope those who are listening or watching us live on Facebook can get what you're saying. The video will always be there for you to watch. Now, artificial intelligence is transforming industries worldwide. How do you think Nigeria Innovation Hub should prepare startups and young professionals for this AI era?
Sorry, I didn't hear your last question, please.
I said AI, in terms of artificial intelligence, is already transforming industries worldwide. How should Nigeria innovation
Yes,
hubs prepare startups and young professionals for this AI era?
interesting questions, right? And I dare say that it's not only like innovation hubs that needs to get involved, right? AI is shaping
Yeah.
industry. AI is shaping, um, you know, AI is shaping a lot of things. And I think that people generally should actually get involved and begin to understand, what's happening, right? Um, Today, almost everything can be AI enabled, right? So I think Innovation Hub should begin to prepare their founders to build AI enabled applications. We may not be able to build, the foundational technology for this because of obvious infrastructural deficits. However, we can leverage what is already been built and create, something strong, that can serve needs and purposes, right? There's a lot of opportunity which, that we're going to be discussing at the conference this year, right? So there's a lot
Yeah.
going on. We're going to be discussing at the conference, and it's something that people should look forward to.
Mm. Interesting, Uche. Now, what policy reforms would you like to see from government to strengthen Nigeria's startup ecosystem and digital economy?
I think that the major policy reform that needs to happen has already happened, and that is the Nigerian
Okay.
Startup Act. Okay, what we now
Okay.
need to do is to ensure that it may not be very perfect, right? But at least it's a start. What we now need to do is to see, more states adopting, and initializing the act in their specific states. That's what we want to see. It's something that we're working with River State government to see happen. We hope that that can happen fast before the election comes. The Nigerian Startup Act is a big one. It's something that needs to happen. It's something that we need to drive, especially here in River State and around the regions. So it's already happening, and I think we just need to make sure that the states adopt it.
Interesting. Now, my final question to you, Uche. What message would you like to leave for young Nigerians who have innovative ideas but are hesitant to take the first step into entrepreneurship?
Ah, so first off, um, I don't advise them to get into entrepreneurship without knowledge, right? Um, because to start with, building a startup is not about idea, all right? It's not about idea, and that's the misconception that everybody has had for a long time. Building a startup is about, finding and orchestrating value, in a space that that can yield, you know, that can yield, good opportunity, right? So it's not just about idea; it's also start with idea. So I would say
Okay.
that people should get involved, um, deepen their knowledge, find where they're currently working. There are lots of opportunities to build a startup. There are lots of gaps, right? You those gaps are the things that make you, interesting enough as a startup and as a founder. So if you're already building something, then you want to go back and check, what I'm building, is it venture scale? Is it a venture scale opportunity? Because a lot of people
Yeah.
are building stuff that are not venture scale opportunity, and they are looking for investors, and they're complaining that investors are not investing. But if you understand what investors are looking for, raising money becomes easy for you. Look for venture scale, and I've been talking about it a lot on my handles, right? And it's also part of the things that we'll be discussing at the conference this year as well. So my final word in a nutshell would be, in all that getting, get understanding, and go get knowledge.
Interesting. Uche Aniche, Convener, Startup South. Thank you for joining me on the show today.
Thank you so much, Paul. I appreciate.
Thank you.